This teacher was accidentally shrunk. She was strapped into a pencil case by a student. The student asked the teacher to help him cheat on the test. If the teacher does not obey, the boy scares her with a giant cat. He also used the teacher as a target to practice darts. The teacher was so pathetic, she couldn't stand it anymore. She finally escaped from the school bag, but she fell to the ground. The teacher touched her head, but there was gum stuck to the top of her head. Suddenly the teacher felt a pain in her stomach. She looked for the toilet in a hurry, but the toilet was too high. The teacher felt very anxious. Fortunately, there was a potted plant in front of her. The teacher happily hid behind the tree to use the toilet, but the next moment, the man moved the potted plant up. He spilled water on himself. Why did the teacher turn into a miniature man? This is because the boy, Felix, was too naughty, so he changed schools more than 10 times and was expelled. This day, his father took Felix to the new school. As a result, Felix was late for his first day of school. He was severely criticized by the principal. The principal is also Felix's homeroom teacher. This was a shock to Felix. The students are afraid of the class teacher. Felix tried to fit in with the class. He wants to join Eric's team. Eric wanted to test Felix's courage. Eric asked him to venture into the old classroom. At night, Felix came to the classroom with a flashlight. He didn't notice that the portrait of the old principal was moving. When Felix was ready to leave, but the teacher suddenly appeared. She treats Felix like a thief and says she will expel him. Felix closed his eyes in despair. He mumbled something about wishing the teacher would disappear. At that moment, the magic ball suddenly spun. Then flames emerged. Suddenly there was a flash of blue light. When Felix opened his eyes, the teacher really disappeared. It turned out that the teacher was shrunk into a miniature person. She was almost trampled by Felix. The teacher kept dodging the giant feet. Finally, she decided to get into the book bag, and so the teacher was brought home by Felix. The next morning, Felix was awakened by the alarm bell. Dazed, he opened his eyes and saw a magical scene. He found the teacher standing on the table, and the teacher turned out to be as small as a toy doll. The teacher said she felt very hungry, so Felix took the teacher to the kitchen. He was going to make a delicious breakfast. The teacher turned into a miniature man. She was thrown into the cream by the students. Felix tried to keep his dad from finding out. He also covered the slices of bread, but Dad grabbed a knife.
No, I'm taking the skateboard.
The teacher was furious. She told Felix to turn himself into a normal person, otherwise she would expel Felix. The teacher's arrogant attitude angered Felix. Felix threw the teacher into the trash, but then he saw the garbage truck in front of him. He began to worry about the teacher's safety again, so Felix picked up the teacher from the garbage can again. In order to make the teacher happy, Felix not only helped her to wash her clothes, he also went to the toy doll store to buy clothes to apologize to the teacher. But then his classmate Ella suddenly appeared. The teacher had to pretend to be a toy. On the way home, Felix accidentally fell down and crushed his school bag. He rushed to pull out the teacher. He found the teacher in a very bad condition. Felix was so scared that he poured mineral water over her in a hurry. The teacher finally woke up, but this scene was just seen by Ella. She exclaimed that the teacher was so cute. She also thoughtfully helped the teacher to stop the nosebleed in order to get a good score in the exam. Felix suddenly came up with a daring plan. He asked the teacher to help him cheat, and in exchange, Felix would help the teacher become normal again. The teacher could only agree to this unreasonable request. Eric saw that Felix was very fast at answering questions, so he asked Felix to help him write together. As a result, when the teacher announced the test results the next day, Felix and Eric both got a 0. It turned out that the teacher had given the wrong answers. She wanted to warn Felix that cheating was wrong. Eric was very angry about the results. He wanted to teach Felix a lesson. Then he went through Felix's book bag. Eric wanted to know how Felix had cheated, and he found the teacher. The teacher rushed to disguise as a toy doll, and the teacher did not dare to move. Although the teacher disguise is very successful, but the teacher was still Eric brought home. Only the kid suddenly appeared. Scared, the teacher did not continue to disguise. Normally, Eric was often criticized by the teacher. At this point, his face suddenly showed a bad smile. The student pinned the teacher to the target and practiced darts directly. The teacher was terrified. She tells Eric not to continue, but Eric doesn't want to let the teacher go. Luckily, Felix and Ella come looking for teacher. Ella distracts Eric at the door. Felix slipped in and rescued the teacher. Then he ran to the school. The director was in a meeting at the school. He wanted to sell the school for profit on the grounds that there were not enough students. Luckily, Felix arrives just in time. He took out the enrollment papers and gave them to the director. As long as the number of students was added to Felix's, the number of students enrolled would meet the standard. But the director just took one look at the paperwork. He said the signature was a forgery. Finally, the director directly tore the document into pieces. This was because the teacher was holding a huge pencil. She couldn't sign her name properly. In order to stop the director's plan, Felix took the teacher to the old classroom. He wanted to turn the teacher back into a normal person, but Felix recited the incantation to the portrait for half a day, but there was no response. At this time, The director also arrived here. The unexpected thing appeared. The magic ball suddenly spun up with a burst of fire. The director also became a miniature man. The next second, the ground suddenly collapsed. Two people let out a scream. They fell directly into the darkness of the ground. Not long after they came to a basement, the director lit the lighter to see. In front of them was a fierce black cat. The two men were terrified. They almost got eaten by the black cat. The director used the lighter to ignite the gasoline to scare the cat away. After the students found the entrance to the basement, they rushed into the pipe. The students arrived at the underground classroom filled with models, but the door here was locked and they couldn't get through. Suddenly the lights flickered on and off, finally stopping at the Eiffel Tower. Felix rushed to the globe. He pressed the position of France directly. Finally opened the door to see the teacher in danger. The students rushed to put out the flames with their clothes. And the end of the movie, the teacher and the director of the portrait to say that they will teach the students well. With a flash of light, the two finally returned to normal. From then on, the students not only can learn happily, they also opened a happy school live.